How you doing? Richard Wright, running for District 38, the man with the plan, always campaigning, always in the city. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm blessed and highly favored, sir.
Indeed. Good to have you.
Thank you for inviting me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, indeed. You know, I don't want to hold back, right? I get right into it, right? We got the people watching, so let's get right into it.
Yes, sir.
The big thing I've seen on a town hall you were doing with some of the other candidates, you were pushing for economic mobility.
Yeah.
You were pushing for economic growth in the community.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? And tell me more about your plans.
I think economic growth looks like currently in Atlanta, African American businesses, only 6.2% of them are employer businesses. That means they just employ another individual. Growth to me looks like 18.6%. In other words, 3 times as many over the next 4 years. African American businesses are employ at least one individual, because one of the ways that you show true growth and stability is to be able to employ another person.
Yeah,
and so and that's what I want for the black business ecosystem is growth, and that's a clear indication of growth is employment. Who are you employing?
Yeah. Do you think that those deficits are caused by some systemic issues, or is it just lack of education or doing business properly, hiring, scaling up? What's the roadblocks here? How do we get past it?
I think it's a combination of we're not blessed with investment bankers as parents, right? So it's a knowledge gap. A lot of us have a business where we just cash app someone, right? Where we cash app someone is it putting them on payroll. Somebody may have told us that's payroll, but that's not payroll. So just get a clear understanding of what payroll is. And once you get a clear understanding, then you can maneuver legally the way that you're supposed to maneuver. And once you do that, you'll be able to grow your business, because the goal is to grow the business to where you're able to hire someone. And that's the goal.
Well, I also see, for one thing, give people a little bit about your background, because you have an interesting story, right? And we had time to talk a little bit about it. But let's give people, in 2 minutes, kind of give people your story, how you got here, who are you, why you grind so hard, why education means so much to you, how much your mother meant to you, advocating for you to do things into Atlanta. Let's go.
Okay. I moved here in 1997 with my GED. And like a lot of African Americans, I moved here to be a rapper. And so no one signed me. All right, all of that. I was me and my cousin. We were gonna be, the next big thing in Atlanta, right? So that didn't happen, and so I was struggling. I was working at Burger King at the airport on Concourse D. I still remember the Concourse. I remember that 625, the little car we used to get. We used to get 625. So you get a Whopper meal, and you get like a Cinnabon. It was a Cinnabon and a Whopper meal, right? I still remember this to this day, right? And so it was hard. It was hard. I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment off Cleveland Avenue, Mount Zion Road. Right, Mount Cleveland and Mount Zion. Ain't no walk in the park, right? Catching it was a 78 and 54. I still remember the buses I caught. Right.
So you say you came up around the way then?
Yeah, I came around the way, catching the 54 from Fort McPherson. And the 78. And so my mother taught me to go to school. She said, Richard, you keep sweeping floors and keep doing what you do, or you go to college. And so from a GED, I took a chance. I enrolled in school and ended up getting my undergrad degree, ended up going to grad school, ended up getting my CPA license. I took and passed the CPA exam, and I went on to Georgetown Law School to take some tax courses there. So it was an experience.
I like that. I'm glad your mother convinced you to do what was best for you, because I guess moms know best, right?
Moms definitely know best. To get my GED, because I don't want to make it seem like, I wear glasses, I've always been smart, right? I didn't always pay attention, right? Right. When I was at home,
glasses don't make you too smart. You can ask Ralph about that.
So I was at home, right? My mother just got sick of me one day. She said, Richie, you going to get your GED. I said, Mom, I want to get my GED. I don't even like school. I'm going to be a rapper. But at that time, I was talking about playing basketball too. Like, Mom, 6'4", I got a nice jump shot. She's like, son, you need to go get your GED. I want to do it. So she went and grabbed the broomstick. This is a true story. She'll tell you. You read her, because it's one of her favorite stories.
Well, she's got to hit you with the broom.
No, she hit me. She wasn't about in it. She hit me with the broom. So I said, Mom, still don't want to go. So she hit me again. So at that time, I realized she was serious. I was going to get here a third time. So I went over here and got in the car. So when we got to the community college, right, I still don't want to get out the car. So she hit me again with the broomstick.
So that's 3 hits.
That's 3 hits. So I get out and make a long story short, went and got my GED. And so, you have to care about people. And I think that's what that story shows. And that's what I plan on bringing is that I care about you. And when you care about someone, you correct bad behavior. Right? Indeed. You tell them, hey, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing wrong. You stand firm on it. And so that's what we need in our community. We need leaders to talk firm truthfulness to the community. Not what you want to hear, rather what you need to hear, what will move the community forward. You
brought up an interesting point, education and how it help you to shape into who you are, right? So when we talk about education in District 38, what are some of the things that you are saying, I'm not going for it? And then what are some areas where you think we are making progress?
I think the areas where I'm going to say, not going for is our reading level, right? Our reading scores. 37% of third graders in APS are reading at grade level or higher. That has to stop. That's tragic because what we're setting up is a future of community, the future community, not to be able to sustain themselves in America, because you need to learn how to read, right? And so what we need to do is really concentrate more on pre-K, right? That's where it starts at. And so we need to invest more in pre-K. And that's a conversation that we had with the governor, right? About how we can make our pre-K teachers the highest paid pre-K teachers in the United States of America, right? We have funds to be able to do that. And so what that will do is that will turn around the trajectory. Because when you can read early, when you're functioning early, right, you can progress a lot easier, right? But if you start behind, right, it's harder to make up that ground.
Indeed. Let me ask you, how much do you think COVID played a part in what we're seeing now in the education system, right? Like my child, he would be considered a COVID baby, right? So he was supposed to enroll in school when COVID happened, everything transitioned. We had to pivot. The world was going through its crisis, but there's been a lot of let's just say it hasn't been the progress a lot of families have been used to seeing. Do you think that was due to the lapse in what happened with education around COVID?
Around COVID,
I think
it was happening much earlier, right? I think that there's been generation after generation of a lack of a concentration on how important school is. Right? School is fundamental to making it in society, right? And so pre-COVID, it was some of the same issues. They just were expanded and they were magnified during COVID, right? And so what we need to do is what I propose, and what a lot of people have been kind of pushing back on, but I stay firm on this, that there needs to be mandatory summer school.
Now that's what we came at, right? You brought it up. Excuse me for pointing at you, but
no worries.
When I heard you say that in the panel, I said, damn, mandatory summer school? I'm talking about summer vacation. I like to go to Florida. I like to go to Destin. I like to get out in the water a little bit. But I also understood what you meant, right? I had to sit and think about it. I said, well, when I was growing up, you missed that class, you went to summer school,
right?
You did. And while all your friend was playing, next time you remember, look, so when you get back, stay on your business, right? And sometimes you needed that because there's a gap in learning during the summer. It's
a loss of learning, and this is just not for every child, right? Because there are children who are performing. I don't want to ever make it seem like no African American child in APS is performing well. That's just not the case. There are some who are performing well, and so we need to provide programs for them. We need to provide a STEM program for them. We need to provide earning opportunities for young men and young women between the ages of 14 and 17, right? Because 18 you're generally graduating, right? And so 14 and 17 need to be some income earning opportunity for them. So this just isn't, well, Richard's just gonna grab every child at APS.
Well, no, I understand, but let me give you some pushback. What about the parents, right? Because parents are exhausted, right? We talk about current day. You got mom and dad trying to put food on the table. You got mom and dad working. You got inflation. You have the cost of borrowing, things of that nature. That stay on the adult's mind, right? We try to, we try to do our best to raise our children in decent households, but summertime is like a break for everybody, right? So is there any alternatives you see outside of the summer program? Is it like maybe remote learning? Is it
let me ask this question. When in the history of the United States has it ever been easy for the African American?
I can't answer that right now, and I only say that saying that that's a conversation that we're gonna have to have that's deeper. Because if I would say never.
I would say never as well.
Right, but and I know I would get a lot of pushback, but I mean, even because it's like you reach for this.
Yeah.
Reach for it again.
Yeah. You keep moving.
You right. So
so the reason why I say that is because times are hard, but times have never been easy. And our parents provided for us. They instilled us with respect for others, with an appreciation of education, with an appreciation of, hey, no one's going to ever give you anything. You have to go out there and earn it. Right? And so when I say that summer school being mandatory for kids who are not performing, let me say again, not for every child, and for kids that are not performing, and we're not talking about the entire summer, right? I think people kind of take it and say, well, he's talking about there's 9 weeks in the summer, right? School ends, right, in the end of this week, right? Next week you get to goof off, right? And then the next 6 weeks you go, and then you have 2 more weeks of vacation, and then you start back school. So it isn't a total summer school, like I'm going to take your whole summer. No, what it is we're going to stop the loss of learning. Right, we're gonna stop that. Right, where is that? Right, because now that when you go to school, and we're not talking about all day. Right. I think people are thinking like, I'm talking about all day, 7 hours.
Well, I guess I think a lot of us it just gets very nostalgic. And you're like, summer school. Man.
5 hours a day. Right. Hey, let's reinforce some things. Let's teach some things. Right. Let's stop the loss of learning, so that when the kids do go back to school. Right. The teacher doesn't have to reteach the previous year. I don't have to get someone acclimated again because just 2-3 weeks ago they was in a class and they were learning something. And I think the kids would appreciate it. Kids understand when you care about them.
Indeed, I agree with you. So we've talked, and you've been able to convince me of some of these ideas, and I think that I'm coming around to understanding it. I still got some pushback on it, but I do want to cover a few more questions, and we want to talk culture, right? So I do want to talk about it's decent healthcare possible in Georgia. How do we get there? Do we have it? Are we missing it? What's healthcare looking like in Georgia?
I think that there's an issue that our governor just isn't seeing what's happening, all right? And he's seeing it through a different lens than we are. And so he is proposing that he keeps going with his peach care system, right?
And what's wrong with peach care?
I think that it's capped at 15,000. So you make more than 15,000, you have to work and or go to school. And so the pushback to the governor is that I think that we need to expand it. Now, I'm never going to be against having to work for something. Right? And I think that there's a middle ground to reach with the governor. I also think that's a political football because of the fact that we're in election year. Right? And he wants Trump to win. Right? I want Biden to win.
Why do you want Biden to win?
I think that Biden in a second term can view what happened in the first and make better decisions.
What do you think about with Biden is how he currently supports Israel? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think the voices of the people are misdirected? What's your ideas on that?
I think that relationship isn't as strong as we all would like to say it is here, right? He's already talked to the Israeli president, say, hey, there's a certain red line. Don't cross the red line. I think that as it goes on, Israel is kind of starting to show their true colors, so to speak, the government. Let's kind of break it down, right? Because I think we feel that it's Israel, right? It's Israelis, and then they're Jews, right? Jews is a religion, right? And so that's different from a race of people, right? And so the Israeli government, which is a race, right, are not seeing what the world is seeing, right? And that's an issue, and that's a problem. I think that Joe Biden, as this I guess conflict has gone on, has seen atrocities. It is moving its stance towards Israel. Do I think that it's going to happen overnight? Israel's been a very close ally of the United States of America, and Iran hasn't, right? And so, with keeping that in mind, you have to say that he has pivoted. I think people just don't see it because we're kind of stuck the way we view him, right, and the way the media has put him.
Let me ask you, should Black Americans stand with Israel?
I think Black Americans should stand with what's right and what's going on. In my personal opinion, where I've seen what's going on in Gaza isn't correct. right? You're killing women and children, innocent women and children. That has to stop, and that has to stop immediately.
Yeah.
All right, and so that would be my voice to the president, that you have to stand fast on what's right, because there have been inhumane atrocities that have happened over in Gaza, right? And so that's why I think he's pivoted to. You know, you can see it in his tone. And so our relationship, Israel-United States relationship, its course has been probably in the last 50, 60 years. I just don't think that it happened quick enough. But I think that Biden has got there to a point where he's going to start sending aid to Gaza. He's already talked about that weeks ago, right? He's talking about setting things up over there in Gaza. He's already put down a red line for Israel, right? Something that we never thought would happen with the United States and Israel.
So let me ask you this: a few questions, and we'll go back to the state politics. We'll get back to the district. But we will talk about some of the questions that Black Americans are thinking about. So let's talk about, was Black Americans better under Donald Trump's administration? That's what you hear some people voicing. Other people say absolutely not. What's your gauge on it? Was Black America better under Donald Trump?
I think that Donald Trump took over from Barack Obama, right? We're just not saying that enough, right? It's just like this, okay? Barack Obama got a bus, right? The transmission was done, right? It needed brakes, all right?
Why the black man got to need brakes?
Yeah, exactly. He did the country. He got a country. The country needed brakes. He needed a transmission. needed an oil change. Needed everything, right? So he gradually fixed the bus, right? Gradually fixed the bus. Handed the bus to Trump. Trump said, "You know what? I did a good job on this bus." Right? No, you didn't. You inherited a growing economy, and so did he screw it up? Initially, no. Right? Did he pass some things that would have helped Black America? Because just like he passed the tax cuts that he passed, he could have passed a tax package specifically for minorities, specifically for African Americans.
What about opportunity zones that he advocated for and pushed through? You know, the no capital gain taxes for 10 years if you invested in some of the lower income neighborhoods. And that was great because a lot of neighborhoods got development based on the opportunity zones.
I think the issue with Trump is that it's impossible to please two masters. We've heard that biblically. It's impossible to please two masters. It's impossible to assist minorities, in particular African American, and placate to the darker angels of the country, right? It's impossible to do that, right? So he's placating to us in a way that, hey, you know what? I hear a lot of people tell me about COVID dollars. Well, Biden gave a larger COVID check, right? And not to say that Biden administration has been perfect, right? He's had some flaps. There's been no administration, from George Washington to Trump to Obama to any president, has been perfect and has done what is necessary to push forward the African American agenda.
That's fair.
Right? We have to set one agenda, and I feel that that's what we haven't done as a people since the 60s. We haven't set one clear agenda that Harry Belafonte goes for, that the janitor on the street goes for. I want to be treated as a first-class citizen. Right? I want to get rid of all Jim Crow. Right? That's one objective, right, that every African American can go for.
So are you talking about a plan for Black America?
A plan for Black America, right?
And you have a plan for Black America?
I have a plan for Black America, yes. I think my plan is aggressive, right? I agree with Ice Cube. I think there needs to be robust, I was looking at the camera, robust investment in the Black business ecosystem, right? I'm talking about billions. So you
do advocate that capitalism is great for Black America?
I think capitalism is good for Capitalism America, yes. Right? I think that you can't ask a people who started at the goal line when other folks have started at the 50-yard line to catch up to them in 60 years. That's just ridiculous, especially when you haven't really invested. I'm talking about economic. I'm not talking about welfare. I'm not talking about any social program that other cultures can get as well. I'm talking about a specific program for African Americans. It's going to have to be aimed at corporate America. Because corporate America has the money to do it.
I got you. So what we're going to do, we're going to shoot out some random questions, right? More about culture, right? So I need to know, what are you playing in the morning to get you going in your political journey? Is it hip hop, R&B, soul, jazz, funk? What gets you?
I think it depends on the day, right? Depends on how I feel when I get up. You know, I need to do this more. I need to thank Jesus Christ more for even getting me up. Because there's some people who didn't wake up. And I think that's kind of where it starts at. You know, then I think about, hey, this is what I want to do personally. This is what I want to do for the community. Right? And whether it's usually with me, it's usually I have to be better. Right? It's like.
So what are you playing? What's the soundtrack?
It depends. It could be anything from Big Pun.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a Big Pun fan. It could be Big. It could be Outkast. I'm kind of more of an old school guy. You know, when it comes to hip hop. Not to say that I don't like any new hip hop, but if I had to pick, I listen to Drake and Kendrick.
Yeah. Who's better? Who won that battle, Drake or Kendrick? Your opinion.
My opinion.
6 songs. Who you think delivered?
I think Kendrick.
Kendrick delivered.
If I had to say, I'm a big Drake fan. I was one of the first people that was on Drake. Before anybody else was.
Yeah. I get you. And what's your top 5 MCs of all time?
I would say, my personal opinion, Rakim would be number 1, Karis would be number 2.
Yeah.
Third one is really like the Big Pac.
Right.
Ice Cube had a little runway. Ice Cube was looking like So we're gonna put Tupac affected me probably the most out of any rapper.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna put Tupac 3rd. I'm probably gonna go Nas 4th. And my 5th person. Who's my 5th person? Probably Andre 3 Stacks.
So when 3 Stacks said the South got something to say, what do you think they would have said? What did the South have to say?
I think the South has definitely something to contribute to hip hop. I think that it has its own culture, its own slang, its own way of doing things. That's what hip hop is about. It's kind of explaining your community in an artistic way.
Yeah.
With some soul and some flavor.
Yeah.
And that's what rap used to be about. I don't know. You remember Tuesdays? Tuesdays was the happiest day in a young man's life.
That's when the albums dropped. You go to the record store, you read the credits and things of that nature.
Man, you'd be excited. I remember Redman drop. I remember Meth drop. I remember Scarface drop.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, all like back to back weeks.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't give Face credit, but I do put Face up there, definitely in the top 10 MCs of all time.
Probably top 10.
And I mean, he could definitely squeeze in the 5. I say he could definitely squeeze it based on how you put it. Because it's hard to make that list.
Yeah.
Right, because there's so many great voices that's come through. And now let's touch back on this.
Maybe Wayne, I think that
Wayne definitely would have to be considered in the top 10, top 5. That conversation has to happen. You know,
I think it does.
It has to happen. Let's touch back a little bit on state politics, and we're gonna wrap this thing up. Is Governor Kemp doing a great job?
I think Governor Kemp is doing a good job. I would not say great job.
Yes.
Right. I think that there's some fundamental things that we have to work on.
Yeah.
In the expansion of Medicaid.
Yeah.
Right. He isn't there yet, but I think my voice can get him there.
Yeah.
Right. When you say that you're the best state to do business in the country, right? Employers want 2 things when they come to your state.
Yeah.
Right. They want infrastructure. Right. With 3 things. Let me say this. They want 3 things. They want infrastructure to be good. Right. They want the employees in the environment to be knowledgeable enough to do the jobs.
Yeah.
And they want healthy employees.
Yeah.
Right. Because the healthy make many. The weak make few, the dead make none, right? And so healthcare, I think, is where he has a blind spot to currently, right? I think education is another spot where he's a little further along educational-wise, right?
Yeah.
So the expansion of Medicaid, I think that will happen next session, right? I think Biden's going to win the presidency, and so there's a 11-15 waiver that allows you to maneuver around.
And what happens if it doesn't work out? If Biden doesn't win the election? And Trump gets in, it's another 4 years of Trump.
I think another 4 years of Trump is going to be, I think it's going to be chaos, because this is why I say that. The country hasn't seen a politician currently that it believes that it can give the full apparatus to, right? So I don't think it's going to happen, but if Trump was to win, I think that the country would go Democrat House and Democrat Senate. So it would be Speaker Jeffries and Majority Leader Schumer, right? So it'd be chaos for 2 years. They would impeach him. He's gonna do something to get impeached. He's gonna be full-fledged in this. And I don't think that we say that enough.
Do you think America is scared of another Donald Trump presidency?
I think that we understand that when you're angry, right, it's hard to make good decisions. When you're constantly angry, think about when you was angry.
Right.
Think about when you've been angry. Did you make a good, sound decision? So somebody's always angry. How are they going to make good, sound decisions? Doesn't mean that you're going to make the right decisions when you calm. Right?
That's fair.
It just means that when you're generally angry, you're in an emotional state and you're not thinking clearly.
Right. Should we be concerned with Joe Biden's cognitive abilities? And I'm not saying as if I know or I have a critique. I'm saying it's the voice of what the people talk about. Should we be concerned based off, I think being a community leader?
Yeah, I think we should be, right? This is why I tell people, right? The leadership, no one man has ever ran America. Because what do you do before you even get elected? You pick a nominee. That's highlighting that you're not going to run the country by yourself.
Fair.
That's what the forefathers said, right then and right there. Then what do you do when you get in? What's some of the first thing you do? You pick a cabinet, right? So you pick a cabinet and advisors to assist you, because no one man can run America. Even George Washington knew that, and the country was a 100th of the size it was now, right? And so Biden has to have people around him, right, that are giving him the advice that's needed to be given, right, to the person. Trump, whoever's the president, right? Obama had good people around him, right? Bush had good people around him. They may not have always made the right decisions, because nobody will always make the right decisions, right? So I'm confident in another Biden administration. I'm nervous about Trump administration, just because I want to see the country go forward. I don't want to see another two years, definitely of infighting between him and Congress. I don't think that's healthy for the country.
So do me a favor. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out, but give me 3 reasons why Black America should support Joe Biden.
I think that when I look at it, you're gonna have to say healthcare. I think that jobs, because I think that corporate America is always going to favor the calmer voice in the room, right? He may always give you the right, but it's going to be calmer voice. And what I said healthcare. I think jobs, and I think a vision that Joe Biden is going to paint, a real paint. And hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to him, right? Because
I'm sure you will. You are pretty motivated. And I see you moving. And I don't think it's gonna be too much. It's gonna be able to stand in your way.
I'll be because if I talk to him, it's always gonna be about the leader has to paint the vision. It's never about today. Right. It's about tomorrow. If today's reality is a consequence of yesterday's actions.
And if you had to change the world, what would be one thing you would change about it?
I would drive home the move from the mountaintop to the promised land. Right. We're collectively at the mountaintop as America. Right. Dr. King drug us there, but we haven't progressed to the promised land. So the promised land more is about humanity. Right. I've got to see you as a human, and that's something that white America struggle with. It's honesty of it, right? I think sometimes we struggle with it.
Right. Look at that camera and say that again. Hey, listen to him, y'all.
Right. I think you have to move towards humanity. Right. We struggle with that as a United States because we were founded from slavery. We struggle at just seeing people as a person. That's the first part of this human experience is saying that person is just as valuable as I am. No matter what race, no matter what creed, no matter what culture, they're as valuable as I am, right? And then you move on towards, hey, that person is an American. They're here, they're American. This isn't my country, it's our country, right? And so that would be what I view as what I would really advocate for the Biden administration to look towards, is that you have to paint a vision for not only African Americans, but all Americans. What's America going to be like in 5 years, 10 years?
So let me know, what would you change about the world? What would it be? Just a vision for better humanity? What would it be?
I think the vision for better humanity, number one, that we have to concentrate on viewing people as Americans. Once you concentrate on those 2 things, then we can start advocating for how we close the wealth gap.
I got you.
Right. How do you close the wealth gap? What does that even look like, right? Especially for African Americans, right? We need robust investment, because investment, somebody invests in somebody that's doing something. Right? Do you invest in somebody who's sitting home? No, nobody does, right? So when I say investment, and I know that the reparations question is one that's real popular now with us, right? Reparations has been demonized, right? We need to change it from reparation to investment.
Indeed.
Because investment means that, hey, I am investing in you and that you're doing something, right? You're being productive, right? And I think that's where the conversation needs to go. And once it goes there, it's going to be a much healthier conversation, because it's hard to argue. It's even hard for the most racist person to argue that, hey, I see you doing something good over there, right? It's sustainable, it's growing, it's contributing positively towards society. Right? It's hard to say, you know what, I won't do that because that person is black. That's a hard conversation.
It is, very much so. But I think that's a fair breakdown of it. And I thank you for sharing that, brother. So do me a favor, Richard.
Yes, sir.
And look at that camera and let the people know why they should vote for you. Senate District 38. Election day is the 21st. So go ahead and let them know why they should rock with you and go to those polls and hit your name.
Yes. Name is Richard Wright. Moved here in '97 with my GED, and I progressed from my GED to getting my CPA license to going on to Georgetown Law School. And so I owe Atlanta a lot. I tell everybody, I owe Atlanta a lot. Atlanta grew me up. Atlanta raised me. When I didn't do good, Atlanta spanked me. When I didn't pay my rent, I got evicted.
Yeah.
Right? But when I set my behind home in the house and study, I passed the exam. And so I want to bring that to the city of Atlanta. I want to bring hard work back to this position. I want to bring an analysis of how do we economically improve our communities. How do we really reframe how we think about education in our community? How we vision it? How do we know that education empowers you? How do we communicate with our Republican friends in the House and Senate and the governor to get what we want accomplished? Because it's not about just going making sound bites. It's bringing positive results back to the environment. That's why you're sending me there. And so everybody watching, I definitely ask for your vote. My website is www.wrightforgeorgia.com. Richard Wright, phone number is 404-759-3226, and you know that you're always going to have someone who's willing to lead you and willing to always fight to get what's due to the district, not just in the northern part of the district, not just in Sandy Springs and Buckhead, but all the way down to Palmetto with every single person, all 192,000 people, 53-mile stretch in between.
Yeah, indeed. And there you have it. You know what it is, another episode of Politics and Black Family. Thank you for coming to join us, brother.
I appreciate you for having me. I really do.
Likewise.
Really do.
Peace.
Yes, sir.